Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Federico Talks Watches. Today is going to be an episode where I show you some really cool watches that came across my desk. I do this about once a month, and it's a good way to kind of show off some stock at DelrayWatch.com, but also gives me the chance to talk about some pretty interesting pieces you may not know about, or you just might want some more information on. So yeah, before we get started, customary wristwatch check. Today I went blue on blue, and I put my IWC Laureus Engineer back on its blue strap. I love this watch. It doesn't get as much wrist time because I'm not dressing that 4 million anymore. But yeah, it's my first true love, and boy, I remember when I bought this, it was quite expensive for me. It still is expensive for me. It wasn't easy, but, you know, it was a great Christmas day. I bought it on Christmas Day. That's actually pretty interesting. So yeah, guys, every watch you see today is going to be available on DelrayWatch.com, link in the description below, and today we're focusing mainly on vintage chronographs, a few pretty cool ones, vintage and neo-vintage, as long as a very interesting dress watch. And well, let me start with this one. This is a vintage 1950s, late 50s Croton manual wind chronograph. I'm going to put a picture right up here. What makes this special is a few things. First of all, it's a manual wind Swiss chronograph, which is always a cool thing. But more interestingly, it's a 38.5 millimeter size, which for a vintage watch is awesome, because most vintage are really small, 33, 34 millimeters. But actually, I can wear this watch too. Also, what makes it special, it's a chronograph with a dive bezel. This is not very common. This type of watch right now is super in demand, especially in the vintage market. Now, this is called the Chronomaster Aviator Sea Diver, which is kind of a mouthful, but it's like the ultimate tool watch of its era. I love the black dial that's kind of starting to turn tropical. The lume has patinaed, and that splash of red on the second hand is, just gives it a ton of personality. Of course, we just got it serviced, so the winding is very, very smooth. And while I don't recommend diving with any vintage watch, particularly a vintage chronograph, I just think this is a lot of personality in a vintage dive watch, which is actually very usable today because of the size, and it's aging beautifully. So if you guys are vintage nuts, go check this one out. Next, we have another neo-vintage watch, and I've sold quite a few of these, so I thought I'd put one on the episode. And that is the Omega Speedmaster Mark 40, a watch which was very popular in Japan and was recently made extremely popular by Ben Clymer, the founder of Hodinkee, because he mentioned it was his first watch and the watch that got him into watches, a gift from his grandfather. Now, this is a 39 millimeter watch with a Valjoux 7751, which packs quite a bit of value, because apart from the chronograph, you've also got the day, the date, the month, and a 24-hour indicator. Now, what really makes this stand out is the colors. I mean, a slate gray dial, some touches of blue, red hands, creamy lume. I mean, I don't know. It's one of those rare occasions where you get a ton of vintage charm with a modern-ish movement and a modern case. So this really you can wear every day, and you don't have to worry about it too much. But at the same time, you've got all that charm of vintage. Now, this is one of the few watches I mentioned in my video that even though it's 39, and that is, 1 millimeter bigger than the Croton, the lugs are short. So it does wear a little small on me. And this is a watch I've always wanted, but on my wrist, it just doesn't look particularly great. So I think if you're under a 7.7 inch wrist, you can rock this no problem. But me at an 8 inch wrist, it's a little tough. But the Mark 40s are becoming actually quite hard to find because they're really, really in demand. I do get a few of them every so often, and this is one that's on the site now. Then we go with another neo-vintage chronograph, and one with a ton of color. And guys, you know I love the weird stuff. You know I love colorful. It's got a ton of personality. This right here is the Omega Speedy Reduced Michael Schumacher edition. Now, they made this in a yellow dial, in a red dial, and a blue dial. The yellow being the most common, and the red and the blue the least common. I think blue's the hardest to get. This right here is just, it's very interesting. It's 39 millimeters. It looks just like a Speedy Professional, but of course it's automatic and it's smaller. Not to mention this one has a colorful dial with the red dial, the yellow second hand, and that really cool kind of railroad track hour and minute markers on the outside. This is just, I think, once again, I wish I could wear it a little small for my wrist, but this is a fantastic watch for the money because these are not in production anymore. These are not getting any easier to find. In fact, a few years ago, this was a $900 watch. Nowadays, nowhere near that anymore. Even though it's still well under $2,000, I think this has a ton of space to go up in value. Now, guys, you know what I say, don't buy as an investment, but I do think the fact that it's got a ton of personality and they don't make it anymore, it probably will appreciate. The downfall of this watch, a lot of people say, is that the movement is very hard to service. Now, I'm going to dispel that. It's not hard to service. It's just very expensive to service because it's a very labor-intensive kind of module chronograph design. Now, we did service it already. However, do take into consideration, while a normal chronograph might be about $400 or $500 to service, this is probably going to be closer to the $600-700 mark. But that doesn't mean there isn't a ton of value here, especially if you want something with personality. Now, this does have luminova, it's not tritium, so it still does glow, and this example comes with the box and papers. I thought it was really interesting. You really don't see too many of these in the wild. I thought you guys might get a kick out of it. Now, last is a watch that, if I don't explain it, it might give me a little bit of, you guys might give me a little crap for mentioning it, but I have mentioned this brand a while back, and this is a Ralph Lauren square dress watch. Now, no, Ralph Lauren, yes, the same Ralph Lauren who does the polos, even though I'm a Brooks Brothers guy. Ralph Lauren watches are fully manufactured by Richemont, the makers of Jaeger-LeCoultre, Cartier, Panerai, Piaget, Vacheron Constantin, Montblanc, you know, all those guys. So Ralph Lauren gave his name to the Richemont group to make a line of watches. And this right here is one of the craziest values out there. It's 18 karat white gold, so not stainless steel, and it's got an ultra-thin manual winding hot horology Piaget movement. It retailed for $15,400, and this isn't on the website yet because I haven't taken pictures yet, so it will be up in a few days. But we're going to be asking $2,300 or $2,400. Guys, white gold, Piaget manual wind movement, what's there to not love? I mean, arguably the name, but then again, I mean, it exudes quality, and it's got a very interesting dial. Now, this does wear like the equivalent of a 35mm dress watch. It is square, so it's hard to kind of, you know, if I tell you it's a 29mm watch, you're going to think it's tiny. And while it is small, you have to remember it's square, not round, so the proportions are different. I just don't know any place else where you can get a white gold watch with a Piaget manual wind movement for this price. I think if you guys are into dress watches, this is a killer deal. Now, yeah, guys, these are the watches I have in stock right now. This isn't just a promotional video, but I figured it's cool that I have the opportunity, because I have all these watches coming in and out, that I get to share them with you. So if you thought this was purely promotional, you know, I don't know what to say. I know you guys always tell me to stop apologizing, but I like to explain myself, and I like to explain how I run my channel and how I do business. I thought these were worthy of some camera time, and I thought you guys might enjoy them. Guys, thank you so much for watching another episode of Federico Talks Watches. Please don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed it. It really does help. And of course, I'll catch you. I just dropped this. I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.